Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Vet07, and today I'm going to be doing a tier list for swords. This is update 9 if you're watching this in the future. We're going to go ahead and start with Nightblade. One of the only mythic swords in the game. I believe there's only 4 or 5 now. It is meta for anything with a big hitbox. So if you're doing Sea Beast events like Abyssal Tyrant or a Sea Beast or Hydra, Nightblade is going to be your best friend. It does the most damage pretty much in the entire game on a big target. So extremely strong sword, a lot of range, can't go wrong. Sunken Blade, it's just mid. Mini Mace is pretty bunt, I'm not gonna lie. Xmas Blade is mid. Katana, it's literally a starter sword. I think Triple Katana low-key might be the worst sword in the game. Unironically. I think there actually is a worse one, which you'll see soon. Aquatic Anchor. I was doing some testing with this. It's actually very strong. It is very expensive to upgrade. I upgraded it 3 times and put a poison stone on it, which is 4 Hydra Tails because I thought I was onto something. It is a very strong sword. The full combo of it is about 76,000 to like 80,000. Very, very strong. The fact that it moves them away though, like so far, that it has so much knockback, it really just takes away from the fruit. Or from the sword. So unfortunately it's very strong. It's just the knockback is just too much for it to be meta. Acro Spear, in my opinion, is meta. It does good healing. I think it's the best healing sword in the game. It does very good DPS. It is, it's insane. Well, in terms of healing, it's not the best, but the fact that it does so much DPS on top of healing, it is good. Hunter Blade. Hunter Blade is one of those swords that's just really good. It's just really good for stunning and good cooldowns. The damage on it is not bad either. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna put an OP. Just not a bad sword. Spectre of Flames. It just heals. That's literally all it does is heals. In terms of how good it is, it's not too useful. There's a lot of healing stuff in the game. For example, Acro Spear. I'd take that over Spectre of Flames. Anyway, Spectre of Flames is a sword that you switch to when you're low and not use it the entire time. But you have Sea Beast V3, which literally just heals you to full instantaneously. So really no point of Spectre of Flames anymore, but it can be useful if you don't have any of those things. Blood Moon Twins, Mythic Sword, got a really, really nice buff this update. Not too crazy. I would say it's more usable than Aquatic Anchor for sure, but the damage is less. Good sword all around, honestly. It's a really good sword. If you're new to 3rd Sea, then try to speedrun getting this sword, as it will probably be your best. Mom Blade, it's pretty mid. The damage, I think, is like actually decent. It's just, I think, it's just not like that great. I don't know. Mid. ATK V2. I'm not sure it's a V3. Yeah, I think it's just decent. I don't know, because there's a bug. There's been a bug for a long time where they fall out of the first move. It can group up if it doesn't bug out. The bug really holds it back, but if we're not talking about the bug, I think it's a good sword. The damage on it is like above average. Good sword all around and has potential to group up. Dawnbreakers. It's a very, very, very strong sword. It is up there with some of the best in the game. But the only reason why it's not in meta is because one of the abilities actually moves the enemy around, which if you don't know, if you're doing a 6-player raid, if you're moving the boss around, nobody else can hit him. So it actually loses you damage. Which is why the second ability is actually bad on Dawnbreaker, but the first ability is so strong. If I remember correctly, it hits from like 60,000 to like 80 in just one move. It's extremely strong. Very good sword. It's just the second move holds it back because it moves everything around. Pole, it's pretty buns. Koru V2 with OP V2. This is one of the best swords in the game overall. Meta, really good for PvP. All that. It's just really good. Also, don't forget that this first tier list is for PvE, and there will be a PvP one straight after this. So, Anubis Axe, good cooldowns, decent damage. It's pretty mid. I'd say it's top of mid tier. Pumpkin Smasher, it's pretty mid too. Phoenix Blade, another meta sword. In my opinion, the second strongest sword in the game. Actually, maybe third. I think it's low-key stronger than Goro V2 M1s. No, I don't know. This is a hard one, honestly. I need to test it probably more. But Phoenix Blade V2 is very good with Gravity V2 and Magma V2. Like, it just synchronizes really well with it. And in my opinion, it is a top-tier sword. I'm not exactly sure right now if it's second or third best. But it is very, very good. Bone Scythe, nerfed into the ground. Thank God. It's pretty bad now. Sonata is actually pretty decent. So I found out that if you use the ability that just sits around you and like constantly stuns, that as soon as it's over, the NPC will attack you. So you know when you're going to get attacked, and it's really good for stunning. So I actually think it's a pretty good sword all around, and the damage is decent too. Drake and Fangs. Okay, this might be a little controversial for PvE, but Drake and Fangs is low-key meta because it can group up. It is so good for grouping up that it low-key increases times in hard dungeon. It's that good. Alright. Drake and Fangs damage. It's maybe slightly above average. Nothing too crazy there, but it just groups up so dang well. It's the best sword for grouping up. If you're having problems with that, you know, Drake and Fangs is really good for it. Saber. Saber's still a strong sword. It's always been decently strong. I'm going to have to put it behind Blood Moon Twins. No, yeah. Behind Blood Moon Twins, for sure. I don't know why there's two ATKs on this, so I'm just going to ignore that. Abyssal Crab Axe. I actually think this is not a good sword, to be honest. The damage on it isn't the thing that's bad about it. Well, no. It does have a use. It could group up. It can group up, which makes it decent. And the damage is also average, I'd say. But the fact that it could group up probably puts it above some other swords. So I'm just going to put it above Spectre of Flames. Longavius. Man, this sword used to be at the top. This sword used to be so broken. I don't know how I feel about it in update 9. The damage is always decent. It stuns really good, so I think it's actually good for normal or hard raid or hard dungeon. Sorry. Honestly, I think it's like a worse Sonata because Sonata is just really good at stun. No, better Sonata for sure. It has two moves that sit there and stun for a long time, and the damage I think is better than Sonata. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure it does better damage. Longavius I think is for sure better. You know, that's one of those ones that I'd have to test it, honestly. I'd have to test these two against each other to really know. Avalon, all it has is its healing. It's not good. Demon Trident. Not a bad sword, to be honest. Decent damage. It has a full AoE move, which is the first ability. Hell Sword. Hell Sword is low-key slept on, bro. Good damage, full AoE, fast cooldowns, good range. All around, it is low-key the best sword in the game for starters. Easy to get, second C, really good damage. It just has everything. It's so good. Authentic Mace. Authentic Mace is only good for bigger targets, but like I said, Nightblade is good, or better for most of them. But there is some, like for example, Kaido, that this is the best weapon for, which means that it's very good for some things. It's super niche, but for the things it's niche for, it is the best. Which means that I'd consider this sword pretty meta. But it's so niche though that I don't think it actually is meta. So I think that when you can use it, it's the best. But it's hard to rank this one, honestly. I wouldn't say meta. Koro V1, it's bad. Soul Cane, good stun, bad damage. Not that great. Muramasa did get a buff for everything besides bigger targets now. Still pretty hard to use. The second ability does like 9k damage. First ability, you have to be super close, but it can hit 30,000, which means if you combine both the moves, it's a little bit less than average damage. So it's just all around a mid sword. Not that great. Sweet Longavius. Pretty bad sword as well. Ancient Sword is also bad. No good damage. It gives you more HP, but it's bad. Cookie Sword, low damage. Good cooldowns. Everything else about it's decent. Just low damage. Shirlene Blossom. Average sword in terms of damage. Maybe like a little bit above average, but the cooldowns are quite long. Apollos. Very strong sword. It's just not enough to push it into the OP tier. It's not very strong. Well, it's decent, honestly. And honestly, you can debate. You can debate an A tier. Debris Cleaver. Hear me out. With the rework, I came to a realization: if you upgrade it, maybe twice, I think, or maybe you might have to fully upgrade it. It is low key a worse Riptide Slayer, like slightly worse Riptide Slayer, which means it could be borderline line meta if Riptide Slayer wasn't in the game. All right, think about it. If Riptide Slayer wasn't in the game, I would have to debate putting this in meta. I'm not even gonna lie. The damage on it is super solid when you upgrade it, but you have to spend Hydrotels to upgrade this sword. So it's expensive, but it is similar to Riptide Slayer. If you really don't want to grind for Riptide Slayer and you want a sword that's similar in terms of damage, Daybreak Cleaver's there. Although, I just recommend going for Phoenix Blade, Core V2, Aggro Spear. Dragon Standard, it's pretty bad. It has a buff. Other than that, it's not great. Norsur, the most expensive sword in the game, going for over 1,000 fins. Not a lot of people know what it does, as it is extremely rare, hence the price. But if you have a stun, like Quake, anything that stuns in place, so Doe or Quake, this sword does a lot of damage. Other than that, though, you have to have a fruit that stuns or keeps them in place. So it's pretty niche, but it is very strong when you have a, Doe or a Quake. Gold Spear, it's pretty bad. Adventure Knife, mid. It does a below average damage, but the cooldowns are so fast on it that low-key, it could probably push its way up into the OP tier or A tier. But I don't know how I feel about it. It doesn't have any AoE. And the fact that even if it has decent DPS, there's just so much that are better. Another meta sword. This is the strongest sword in the game if you're doing solo content. So let me explain. I explained this earlier with Daybreak or Dawnbreaker. So if you have a sword that moves the boss around and you're with multiple people, they won't be able to hit the boss or miss abilities on it. So you basically end up losing damage instead of gaining. So if your second ability moves them, then it's not that great. But if you're solo, this is the best sword in the game. If you're by yourself fighting anything, Ethereal is the way to go. It is stronger than Phoenix Blade. It's stronger than OP V2 with Koru. It's stronger than anything. It is extremely strong. And I can't believe I just found it out like an update ago. It's such a random sword to be meta. And it low-key is the one before Blood Moon Twins, a mythic sword. It's legit stronger than a mythic sword. It's so weird how it just randomly becomes meta, man. I can't believe nobody noticed it. Acroscythe rework. It wasn't bad. The rework wasn't bad. The damage is still about the same, and I'm pretty sure the healing is about the same, if not a little bit better. But overall, it's just not that great. Powder Blade has a stun. That's all it has going for it. Tashi Blade, a all-around decent sword. In fact, this is one of the first swords you get. It's literally on the first island, and it is in mid-tier. It's actually a very solid sword. Shark Blade is awful. It is buns. Pipe, terrible. Metal Trident, I didn't say it's bad. It's a really bad sword. Riptide Slayer. This is a peak sword right here. It works very well in the new dungeon. I prefer to use this sword as I think it is just the laziest sword. And in terms of the overall usefulness of it, it has a lot of range, easy to hit, good damage, good DPS. It is all around a really good sword, and you should definitely grind for this sword. You could use it for anything. It is even in PvP builds, as the second ability just goes through. It just goes straight through dodges. And the first ability strips really well as well. But it is all long range moves, which means if you have a close range build, it won't really work that well in PvP, but it's mostly good for everything. Also, I'm just going to move Nightblade down to the... It's very niche, but it's so OP for bigger targets, so it's going to be at the bottom of meta. Actually, yeah, it's a bottom of meta. Barbaric Axe, it's pretty bad. Shell Reaper, new mythic sword, pretty average in terms of damage. I'd say it's maybe a little bit better than average. It heals, though. That's the thing about it. But the DPS is bad. I low-key think this sword is It's kind of mid, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It heals. The damages are decent, but the animations keep you stunned for a long time. Not that great, but it does have iframes, so you are invincible while you use them. But it just takes a long time to actually do the move, which means that overall lowers your DPS if you have fruit cooldowns, you know, that you could use. Bloodshell Edge, another new sword. I think it's A tier. The damage is decent. It might be getting a buff in the future. Admin said that, so he's gonna try to get a buff. Decent sword. I just don't think it's necessarily better than anything else in A tier or OP, the OP tier. I'm pretty satisfied with this list, honestly. If there's anything I can move around in terms of overall usefulness, Ethereal would probably have to be moved down, and Koro V2 would probably have to be the number one. Honestly, probably the best one in the game overall. Riptide Slayer is really good. Yeah, S tier looks good. A tier or the OP tier, everything looks pretty solid here as well. All these swords are very good in their own on their own right. If there's anything I missed, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. Time for the PvP one. Now the PvP one should be very fast, as most of the stuff will probably be going down here into the buns tier. So let's go straight into that. Alright, so we're ready to start ranking for PvP. Just remember, the first tier list was PvE. Alright, now this is PvP. Now, I don't have the best grasp, necessarily, on the meta, but I have a good idea, as I have 9.7 mil bounty, Hunter Blade, I've been PvPing for a long time. Ethereal, usable, very strong, not bad. Now, with the new Blood Moon Twins buff, I low-key think it might be S tier again. The devs listened to my video. I'm not sure if they actually listened, but I'm assuming. I made a video on how bad Blood Moon Twins was. I was like, they need to make it strip dodges faster. They need to make it better. They made it better. And let me tell you, the buff was huge. It makes the first ability come out so fast, and it's not based on ping anymore. So it's just super fast. It's consistent. It takes a lot of dodges. The damage is there. It does a lot of damage. Overall, really good. Nightblade, awful. A lot of stuff going to be going in D tier. Saber, if you have the passive Various, I think the sword could be borderline meta. Meta though, the damage is there on Saber. The stun isn't though. But you have to have you legit have to have a passive to use this sword. Acro Scythe, usable for sure. ATK. Meta. Second ability instantly strips like 8 dodges, bro. It's so OP. Instant teleport, unreactable, works really well with Love and Gas. Especially Gas this update, bro. Gas is a menace. You literally just pop your Gas cloud, and you just teleport to them and kill them for free. It's super OP. Muramasa, completely useless. Longavius, useless. Acro Spear, usable barely. Quake Spear is somewhat usable. Avalon, useless. Ancient Sword is useless. Hell Sword, actually usable, decent damage. Wouldn't say meta, good at dodge stripping. Good all around. Especially for newer players. Athletic Mace, useless. Cookie Sword is usable. Soul Cane, it depends on the meta. We saw that Soul Cane was the best sword in the game for one update. Could be meta depending on the fruit, but as of right now, there's just too much good stuff. There's so many good swords and one-shot combos right now. Soul Cane will most likely never be meta again unless they nerf all that in the ground. But it does have the potential. Metal Trident, low-key somewhat usable, but kind of bad. Hasn't been meta since like update 3, when Quake was first added. It's been a long time. Shilling Blossom, somewhat usable. Apollos, somewhat usable. Aquatic Anchor's pretty bad. Daybreak Cleaver is pretty bad. Bad. You're gonna see it's pretty bad. Usable, actually. Bad. Usable, but bad. Somewhat usable, bad. Tashi Blade, usable, but bad. A lot of this you could see is pretty bad. Newest Axe. If they didn't nerf the dodge stripping, decent sword. Bad. Hunter Blade. Good sword. They nerfed the dodge stripping on this again. Well, it deserved it the first time. It used to instantly strip. No, you don't even understand. It instantly stripped all your dodges and put you inside of it, bro. It was so broken. Nerfed it to 6 dodge strips, which was, I think, a good balance for Hunter Blade. But now it only does 3. So, pretty bad now. But it's still good. Has really good combo potential. Good cooldowns, good damage. It's just really good. Bone Scythe nerfed into the ground, thank God. Abyssal Crabbags actually got a buff. So, it strips a lot faster, basically, for dodges. Very good. Drake and Fang's meta, for sure. I think this is debatably the second best sword in the game. With the right passive. So you have to have various passive. It makes the sword true. Riptide Slayer, I think, is pretty decent. Strips dodges, goes through dodges with one of the moves. Good damage. Coral V2. You have to have OP V2 for this, but I think OP V2 is very, very good. It has 3 teleports along with a sword that hits the entire room. Very good. Sonata, usable, actually. Decent combo potential. Not bad. Shell Reaper. Usable, but you have to have very certain combos. It's difficult to use, I feel like. Overall, not that great, but from what I've seen so far, that's just my opinion. It could be S tier. It could turn out to be one of the best ones in the game, but from my opinion, the healing isn't enough to bump it up to S, as you'll most likely get one shot anyways. Just everything about it is just okay. Dawnbreaker is pretty bad, honestly. It's usable, but bad. And then, yeah, that's a PvP tier list for sure. So if you guys skip to this part, I explained every single sword, what they're good for, except for, some of them that are just self-explanatory, like Katana. I explained every single sword, what they're good for, why. If you disagree with anything, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed, please like and subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.